Hello, everybody, and
Yeah.
welcome to another prediction. I haven't had one of these in a while, obviously. And of course, this one is for the next revealed death battle, Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash. And it is a little bit late, not the time I would normally get it out, but suck it up and cry me a river. And I am joined with Mal. Introduce yourself again.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Mal. I'm a member of the G1 Death Battle fan blog as well as a mod for one of the Death Battle discords. Uh, I also was the guest who appeared on Poe vs Iron Fist and Blake vs Mikasa
That
on the
is
prediction blog, the
true.
prediction video. I mean, that's
And,
true.
well, you were also on the prediction blogs for both.
Yeah, I was. Actually,
I,
no, I don't think I was on Poe vs Iron Fist
what?
because
Hmm.
no, I don't because a lot of people wanted to be on Poe versus Iron Fist,
Of
so
course.
I
How many
decided
people have come in
not
wanting
to
to be
make
on
one.
Reverse Flash versus Goku Black?
Yes, like in on the G1 Discord, G1 Death Battle fanblog Discord, we literally have like 20 people who just decided, you know what, let's discuss this matchup because the community is just really hyped over this. This is one of the big fan favorite community matchups.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as requested the casual audiences, but like the community just wanted this for a long while. Like,
yeah. This
a lot of
is
people thought that
everyone thought Piccolo versus
next
Martian
drag,
Manhunter would be this season.
yeah,
I think I
yeah, a
think
lot of people thought
the
that
problem is
it would
what
be this
they
season.
my assumption for like the legacy of this matchup, right? And like the reason it was done is because they wanted to do Dragon Ball versus DC, obviously, because like the most iconic rivalry aside from Marvel versus DC, despite the fact that it's only gotten 2 episodes and they were the same matchup, is DC versus Dragon Ball because those two
Yeah,
episodes were like the most controversial episodes until Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. So that's probably what they were thinking of was let's do Dragon Ball DC again. That's a pretty big rivalry in terms of how, despite how little we've done it. And we're looking through. I think it was Ultra Guy who he just wanted to do Goku Black versus Reverse Flash, and they went with that, which makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, makes sense. I think the problem with Martian Manhunter versus Piccolo is that yes, it's a heavily requested matchup, but it's also amongst the casual audiences, but it's also kind of it's fallen off recently in recent years. Like I don't see it nearly as much as it used to be.
It really shouldn't
Us,
be too surprising because like Piccolo hasn't been like relevant since the Buu arc, when you think about it.
yeah,
Think about what has Piccolo done? Like let's really think. So he after the Buu arc, he gets his ass kicked by Beerus. He fights some Frieza soldiers. I think he dies when Frieza nukes the planet. Um, in the Universe 6
yeah.
arc, he fights Frost and loses, and that's it. And then he doesn't do anything in the other few arcs. I can't even bring up
I
examples.
mean, no, I'll disagree with that. Considering he was the one who took out the Universe 6 Mechians. Mind you,
Oh
that was
yeah, he
more
took
of a
he did take some people out in the Tournament of Power, which I guess is more than you can say for Ten Shinhan, who took out one guy, I think.
no,
No, he took out two
yeah,
guys.
one guy.
He took out one guy with a Kikoho that I think was like Roshi was dealing with, and he just sucker punched him. So I guess that
Yeah,
counts as another guy.
that
Um,
counts. Uh,
like Piccolo, his contribution, like to the overall story, if he wasn't there, then Goku would have just like backhanded the Universe 6 Namekians, and they would have gone flying.
yeah,
So really, he doesn't need to be there. His most relevant contribution recently was in the Broly movie, where he teaches Goku and Vegeta to do the fusion dance, which
that's true.
that's cool and all. And look
Mind
at
you,
Martian Manhunter. He makes a cameo in Snyder Cut, and he's a massive jobber in the CW Supergirl series. Like he is, despite the fact
yes,
that he's introduced with like, the idea of this guy is so strong, he could kick the shit out of Supergirl and Superman in a one-on-one. He's a big, beefy bastard. But like in the same season, I think he's like, "Oh, I can't lift Fort Knox. No, that's not gonna happen." And then Supergirl just does it with like no issue. And then in every
yeah.
other season, like I watched the second latest season of Supergirl, and every time you think he's gonna do something, he gets wiped out so easily.
Oh god, yeah. I guess you're right. Because thinking about it, it is strange how the last three Dragon Ball combatants are all that we've had in Death Battle have all been from Super.
Well,
We've had Beerus,
technically,
technically Broly.
Beerus originated in a Z movie, and so did Broly.
Yeah.
But though the version of Broly they were focusing on was obviously from the Super one. But technically, if I'm being pedantic, Beerus did debut in Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Gods.
Battle of Gods, yeah.
Or Dragon Ball Z, as some people in Australia call it. I don't like that.
No.
It is pronounced
No,
Z, but not in this context.
I would argue that he's more associated with Super than
Definitely. He's more
Z,
associated with Super. But he technically originated in Z.
But yeah, it's kind of strange how we've gone so many more recent Dragon Ball characters compared to like characters like Krillin and some of the really old school Dragon Ball characters. I guess the reason why is because they're far more relevant.
I guess
like I love Krillin, but
doesn't really have a good matchup.
Lost his relevance years ago. Yeah,
the only Dragon Ball character that they've used that I don't think is one of the super relevant ones is Android 18. Like when you think of like the characters used, Goku,
honestly,
main character, Vegeta, one of the main characters, Beerus, who's basically one of the most popular characters in the franchise history.
Yeah.
Same with Broly. Roshi is just one of the most iconic characters across the entire franchise overall. And he's been there since the original Dragon Ball. And he got a huge glow up near the end of Super as well. Especially in the manga where he's taken on Jiren. Buu is like considered along with Cell and Frieza as like the three big antagonists of Dragon Ball Z. And Hercule's just super popular. And you just got 18 there. And it's like, 18 is really popular. But I don't think she's in like the same tier of popularity as the others.
And if I'm being honest, Captain Marvel vs. Android 18 was kind of a weird matchup in general.
Yeah.
Like, I get the connections, but yeah, felt a bit odd. And then probably after Goku Black, we've got the big two. Probably the next two Dragon Ball matchups will probably end up being 4 vs. Vegeta and the infamous one, Megatron vs. Frieza.
Not too excited for that. I'm not too into Thor vs. Vegeta, but at least I see an appeal to it. Because I do really like both characters, and it's not like it's misrepresenting either one, so...
No, I think it works, though. Thor has a bunch of matchups they could do.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to.
Honestly, I feel...
Thor vs. Vegeta is the big one.
To me, Vegeta run back matters more than Thor run back, and there are a lot of Vegeta matches. As for Thor, I really couldn't care if he comes back.
Yeah. I guess you could do a lot of the King stuff. King Thor stuff. Which would be unique from the previous 4 run backs.
You could, but if you're doing King Thor... If you're doing King or Rune King Thor against Vegeta, don't do that, please. you don't need to go that far. You don't need to go that far, officer.
True.
You can sit back down with that one. You didn't need to give King of the Dead to Black Panther. You don't need to give Rune King to Thor.
I mean, let's be honest. King of the Dead wouldn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Black Panther versus Batman, because Black Panther frankly stomps anyway. So.
Well, I mean, Rune King doesn't matter with Thor versus Vegeta either. Thor wins either way. A lot of people are going to be on my back for saying that, but you guys can shut up. He does.
Yeah.
I guess the problem with Thor is that while he has got a lot of abilities, it is not very commonly associated with him to like rearrange the molecules of a continent, which he could do, but you wouldn't expect it. Like, I guess they could probably incorporate like teleportation and dimensional travel with Thor. That's something that he does a lot in the comics that you could probably get away with. I guess you could go to a cosmic scale with him. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, if Thor versus Vegeta happens, I hope they go full cosmic with it. Like, go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, these are the two big, extremely powerful, arrogant characters. Why not just embrace that?
It was like Thor's one of like the few Avengers with like the most direct cosmic level stuff. Like, obviously Hulk has it as well, punching a universe to death. But like Thor's also just created a big bang by hitting another Thor in the hammer, and commonly shatters planets and stars in his fights with characters like Gore. And Vegeta, he's not on that level of like destroying things, but like we haven't really gotten an outright universal destruction outside of Zeno in Dragon Ball anyway. But
Yeah.
with Vegeta, he is one of the few characters to have an on-screen planet bust, even if it's in filler. It still happened with the planet Alia. And
Yeah.
in the fight with Cell, of course, he's got the final flash, which has some incredible scale to it when he fires it off. And like you see it blast off the side of the planet. So there's definitely a precedent there to set them up in a similar sort of planetary galactic scale in a fight.
Plus, let's be honest with ourselves. I think in terms of the characters who need a run back, Vegeta is like top 5 easily.
Yeah.
Like I like Kratos. Kratos is the big one, other than Vegeta, that I feel just needs another matchup.
I can
Like
accept that. Like if they did
Like-
Kratos versus Dante, Azra, or War, I wouldn't really complain.
Yeah.
They did if they did Kratos versus Guts, I would complain very much, very loudly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I don't think they'll do that, mostly because I think they'd realize very quickly at universe level Kratos is potentially a thing.
they don't even really need universe level Kratos. Like, you just take mountain level Kratos. Done. Problem solved.
Yeah. Yeah, done. It's like,
It's the end of the fight right there. I like actually watched.
Yeah,
I actually
pretty
watched
much.
the Death Battle cast where Chad was arguing for Guts, and like credit to Ben, he was actually listening and hearing out the arguments. But God, you could tell that he was not buying any of the shit.
anything. It's like
Oh, Guts
it's also the
is
same with
dodges arrows. He could probably block all of Kratos' attacks. It's like, well, for one thing, no, he couldn't. For another thing, he wouldn't want to block those attacks because he's just going to smash the Dragon Slayer in half with the first one he tries to block.
exactly. Like if Guts does need a run back, and being honest, I'm kind of less keen on Guts getting a run back than say Nightmare, because Nightmare was jibbed.
Yeah, Nightmare was stolen. I would love Guts versus Claire, because I am a huge fan of both Berserker and Claymore, and
Yeah.
I really like the matchup, but Guts got it probably too good in his first episode. Nightmare,
Yeah, no.
who should really come back to fight, probably Lich King.
Lich King is his best.
Yeah, Nightmare deserves to come back and try again.
Yeah.
And this time, probably, maybe win. I don't know how much they would buy for like Nightmare's higher end stuff.
Yeah. And I can make an argument with Lich King is where they put him. But yeah, I think that's the most thematic matchup for Nightmare, so I really want a Warcraft character in Death Battle, even though, yeah, I'd probably not do it this season due to the whole Activision thing. Like,
Yeah,
I hate Activision, but I also love Warcraft.
I think like for Warcraft,
But
Lich King is probably like one of the most obvious characters to use. I guess there's Thrall as well, who's like really popular, but the Lich King really is.
Deathwing.
There's Deathwing as well, yeah.
I think. So I see a lot of requests for, and I do agree with this, for Sylvanas versus Kerrigan from StarCraft. I feel like Warcraft versus StarCraft is a really big, big rival. It was a big rivalry back in the day between these two big strategy.
I do remember that actually. Yeah,
games.
I've never been like super like into the Warcraft games or even StarCraft, but I do remember that rivalry for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
To a lesser
I
extent,
feel-
there's always Warhammer and Warcraft, but like with Warhammer,
Yeah.
you'd want to go with Warhammer Fantasy as opposed to 40k, but like no one cares about like I care about Warhammer Fantasy, but not everyone cares. It's 40k's got a hard enough chance coming into Death Battle, let alone Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like who would you really do? Like
Honestly, I'd be
you gotta put someone against
I'd be
Sigmar
very
Heldenhammer?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if we got Warhammer in Death. I mean, I guess it's possible considering they've talked about more niche characters in Death Battle, but Warcraft is a whole different ball game in terms of what you use for it.
I think like the thing Warcraft has over Warhammer in terms of getting on Death Battle is it's got a lot more like actual visual media to use for Warcraft, especially if you did Thrall, because he's got a whole movie where he's in it, so you got plenty to go with him. With Warcraft, with Warhammer, you've got You got the Ultramarine movie, which, I mean, if you're doing like generic Ultramarines, you could probably use, and you've got Dawn of War, but for the most part, that's Space Marines in the first one, and then Winter Assault didn't have a unique opening. Dark Crusade really just gives stuff for the Necrons, which we're not going to see. Soulstorm gives stuff for the Tau and the Sisters of Battle, which we're not going to see, and the Imperial Guard, I guess, but no one wants Warhammer for the regular people. And Dawn of War 2, I guess it's Dawn of War 3, but I completely forgot what cinematics that has. But there's just not too much for cinematics. I actually think Fantasy has almost more cinematics, because they have a lot of games where, like, they've got, I think they've got more games with, like, cinematics in them. But there's just not a lot to go with for Warhammer in terms of, like, visual media to put on screen, which is a shame.
Shame. It would be a cool franchise to do. Like, I think Depot should do more fantasy franchise, you know. Like, really, when you think about it, they haven't done that many outside of Berserk. I think Berserk is the big one.
Yeah, Berserk.
The whole medieval.
Soul Calibur as well.
Soul Calibur.
I'm gonna hold on. Let me actually look at Death Battle overall. Let me just take a look what fantasies they've had in their series. So in season 1. Like, I guess Mortal Kombat's in an odd position where a lot of it goes for like a fantasy style, but it's also got a lot of like science fiction stuff in it as well. So that's a hard one to really.
I wouldn't really count that.
God of War. God of War goes for like a fantasy aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's more focused on less realistic. I mean,
yeah, it's not as realistic.
Berserk and Soul Calibur aren't realistic, but you know.
I think in terms of high fantasy, God of War is one of the ones that's more up there. At least, especially with like God of War 4, that goes for like a far more low key sort of take. If you want fantasy,
I think it works.
If you want fantasy that goes too far out there, you would have stuff like He-Man and Thundercats, where like it has a fantasy aesthetic, but that's not fantasy like in the slightest, really.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot. Looking through. Yeah, season 2 is just Berserk and Soul Calibur. Season 3.
No.
Nah, not really anyone in season 3. I mean, I guess Fairy Tail has a medieval aesthetic, but it's so anime up.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Shovel Knight. There's Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I guess Shovel Knight counts.
That's about all there is in season 4. Season 5, I'm not even talking about the matchup at hand, but Kid Icarus has a lot of guns in Uprising, so I don't really think that counts.
Yeah. I don't think that counts.
Samurai Jack Goes to the Future. Afro Samurai has a cyborg in it.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, it's like they don't do a lot of. They don't do a lot of novel characters in general, really. I know Chad has said numerous times he would like to bring more novel characters, more fantasy characters in Death Battle, but like there are a couple of big matchups they still have yet to do. With the big one being Dumbledore versus Gandalf.
Yeah, that'll be interesting when that comes around. I think. Yeah, I'm not sure how they'll do that.
Especially considering.
Probably 3D.
Yeah, especially because a certain Speedy, who's kind of infamous for his discussions on Gandalf versus Dumbledore, is part of the research team now. So I would be shocked if Speedy isn't the first guy who ends up suggesting that matchup, and B ends up researching it.
Oh, Big Speedy's definitely researching like probably at least Dumbledore. Because like there are other people who've looked into Lord of the Rings. Harry Potter's not as looked into. I definitely think Big Speedy's going to go straight into that. Still calling him Big Speedy. Not going to stop calling him that. It's always going to be Big Speedy to me.
I think Speedy would definitely be the one in charge of a lot of the research for Gandalf versus Dumbledore.
Yeah, I'd be totally in for like more Lord of the Rings characters. Like, in terms of novel characters, one of the big like appeals to James Bond versus Jason Bourne is the fact that like they're both novel characters, and you know, not everyone knows that, but hey, that would be interesting. And unlike a lot of novel characters, they got so much to work with for footage and stuff.
Yeah. I really hope we get James Bond versus Jason Bourne. It's just a fun matchup.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of people who have a problem with it, and yeah, I get it. I guess Mission Impossible was a book first, right?
Yeah, I think it was a book.
So I guess if they
Or
did
was
like
it just a...
if they did What's His Face from Mission Impossible versus one of them, that would probably work as well.
Yeah.
But obviously
So-
James Bond is a much bigger draw.
You definitely like James Bond is a big character they haven't done yet.
Yeah.
So, being honest, I know people will disagree with me on this, but I don't think it should be live action. I feel like, you could do in live action, but you would be significantly jibbed on what you could showcase. Like you can't really do any big set pieces in live action compared to like 3D animation. Like you couldn't do any car chases. You couldn't really show off the gadgets too much.
I'm not sure how much of that they
just
would
kinda
do
feel
anyway.
like-
After like Lex Luthor versus Doctor Doom and Batman versus Iron Man, I do think there comes like there is definitely a precedent set for there being too much potential for animation in a matchup now.
True.
Because like
Yeah.
I liked Iron Man versus Batman, but
Same.
it there's a lot that feels like is not in there. Like not as much with Tony. I think Tony got basically all you need. Like obviously
Yeah, I agree.
God Killer Mark II would have been cool, but if you're gonna sub them with God Buster, I can accept that. But like Batman, he uses batarangs, grapple hook, one exploding batarang, and the Hellbat. And like I like the Hellbat, but it would have been cool if he got to
Hellbat's
use
great.
one more thing, like the final Batsuit. But I guess that's probably a bit complex a design. It's like maybe the
Yeah, that's a very. It's like it looks like an Evangelion mech.
Yeah.
It's like huge.
Like I can see Insider Suit would have been really cool because it's got so many limitations, but also so many abilities that you could write something really interesting with that. Or I don't even think Insider Suit was mentioned in the episode, actually.
No, it wasn't.
But there's
like,
the Bat
kind of
Cavatron, which would have been
strange.
cool, I guess.
The one I was pushing for, including, was the magic armor.
Yeah,
It's such a ridiculous idea. The magic armor would have actually really worked with the Hulkbuster.
I think what it really
It's
would have
this
worked
big,
with,
beefy thing.
in a sense, I think it would have worked really well with the Model 68 because like they're not true armors; they're like conjured from the thoughts of the user. So you had the Model 68 and you had the magic armor. That you could probably do something really interesting with that. I think again the problem with that one obviously would be the fact that you would have to draw completely new sprites for the
Yes.
for the
Which would have
magic
been
armor.
difficult.
I know a lot of people want the Justice
Yeah.
Buster, but I really dislike the Justice Buster. It's such a shithouse suit and it's so overrated.
Yeah, like it kind of literally got jobbed.
Like
Like in its literal first matchup.
the only punch it takes that we know for sure it took from a Herald was like Superman backhanding it and it just being like lying like a sack of shit in a building. And that's it.
Yes.
Because like
Yeah.
with all the Wonder Woman
That is
ones,
true.
we have no precedent for when Batman slipped on the rope onto Wonder Woman to put her into an illusion. But he probably did it right away, given how the Justice Buster is so banged up from one hit from Superman. And like he doesn't fight Flash properly, he doesn't fight Aquaman properly, and Superman just drops a building on it, and then that's all it
A
takes.
little building.
Like,
And
Batman
it's
could
just
Batman
destroyed.
could survive a building dropping on him, but the Justice Buster couldn't. What's up with that?
Yeah. I did like Batman. I have my issues with Batman vs Iron Man, mostly the same as yours, in the fact that they could have done a bit more. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the matchup, and I think the analysis for the two were really good this time around. But I also kind of wish they went more into their more non-suit items.
I think what
Like,
Batman
really,
vs Iron Man needed,
for
like,
Batman,
above all else, it needed to be a season finale. Like that's what it needed to have the extra budget put in. Because I get budgetary
Yeah.
and time constraints are a huge issue. I understand, and while that doesn't take away my complaints, it does justify why those things weren't in it. But I think when it comes to a matchup where your key selling point is they've got everything now, this time no restrictions, all of their shit, except the Mobius chair and Infinity Gauntlet. We're not given those things. Those
Yeah.
belong to other
yeah,
characters.
definitely not.
Though, I mean, it would have been funny if you
We
had
actually had a
Batman.
debate on that.
Imagine
the
Batman in a
problem
chair
debate on
versus
if
Tony
we-
with a glove. That would be funny, but I don't think you'd need that. Because like obviously, the Mobius chair belongs to Metron. The Infinity Gauntlet is more associated with Thanos and Adam Warlock, and the archetype bullet is Darkseid's weapon, not Batman's. So, no comment on the Omniversal Wormhole bullet. He's never even fired that one. But...
Oh God. Yeah, I will. I will freely admit. I think the blog for Batman vs Superman is great. I think we did a great job with it. I also think we put too much focus on that damn bullet.
He's never fired
Seriously,
it.
that.
He's never fired himself.
Yeah,
that's a big red flag to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we probably should have not had it, or at least not focused on it as much in terms of the analysis, the verdicts.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, the most noteworthy thing with the Omniversal Wormhole bullet is that it is Batman's only win con against the Infinity Gauntlet. But he needs to actually land the shot, which is not happening. But it is the only way he could win.
And that's kind of unlikely.
Yeah. He's got to fire a bullet that he's never fired from a gun that he doesn't have to hit a target that not only will know everything Batman's doing in advance because of the gauntlet, but also have every single way he needs to get rid of the bullet, but also can just dodge. Just walk out of the way, let the bullet hit some random nobody, send them out to the source or whatever, and then Batman's done. He's only got one of them.
Yeah. I liked it. I would give it like a solid 7 out of Batman vs Superman, a solid 7 out of 10. I thought what it did right, it did really right. But
I think once they once they get to Earth, like the animation quality is flawless. Like the actual quality of the animation, there's no complaints. Everything's smooth, custom sprites are beautiful, rigging is amazing.
Yeah.
It's all so good, and the bus this line is just stellar. It's a stellar scene. It's just...
mostly just comes down to missed potential, but I don't think you can criticize an episode too much for what it didn't do rather than what it did do right.
Yeah.
To some extent.
And I think that's why it should have been a finale. Should have had that extra budget put in.
I guess you could make an argument Batman vs Superman could be a season finale.
Oh, I think it could. Like, obviously, the episode's not doing terribly well right now. I mean, it's not doing awful either. It's only been a day since the time of recording this, but
it's got about 700k right now, 718k. Yeah, it'll reach 1 million.
It will.
Every Death Battle reaches 1 million.
It's
mind you,
it's gonna go pretty well, like in the long run.
Yeah. So it's less on Death Battle, more YouTube in general. Like Epic Rap Battles used to do like 9 million, 12 million, and now the latest one is only at like 3 million. Like, it's less Death Battle's fault and more just YouTube in general.
At the same time, it's a little bit unfair to compare numbers for what's just come out with what's came out last year or the year before that.
True.
True. We've not talked about Goku Black versus Reverse Flash once.
Let's
get to that.
Let's actually talk about that.
In terms of like their actual stats, I'm not sure how much it matters because we already have a precedent from Death Battle's own episodes as to where they're most likely going to place them. Because like we know they consider Goku by Battle of Gods and Super Saiyan 3 at least around 3,600 times universal from the multiplier they give above Hulk. And obviously, God scales way above that, like an unreasonable amount. And then Blue scales above that, and then Goku Black scales above that. Goku Black is probably going to get the like attack potency advantage in the episode. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he does, even though that's kind of debatable.
Yeah, because you can debate how much Eobard scales to
Wally, which he absolutely does. He probably doesn't scale to the absolute best Wally feats, but even the slightly down the low Wally feats that he does scale to means that he's probably slightly more powerful than Black.
Yeah.
But I do think they'll give Black the attack potency advantage just because it's just easier to explain.
Akil gave me an interesting little thing. Basically, he said that so when Barry and Wally outrun Black Racer, who is not the same as Black Flash, they're different characters. Black Flash is a representation of death and the Speed Force, but Black Racer is above the Black Flash because he represents death like as a new god. So he's the archetypal concept of death. Um,
Yeah.
that is not an immeasurable feat. That is an irrelevant feat. As in, like, irrelevant speed, which, in my opinion, I don't think irrelevant speed is a speed. I don't think you can count something as a speed when it's above speed, but essentially, when you break the light barrier in DC Comics, what you're doing is reaching a higher spatial dimension above, like, dimensions, which is the
When we get into
the most DC thing they could have done.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, now we're getting really into like the vertigo stuff, like the really broken stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that can only really be found in like DC Sandman.
So
when you get into that dimensional discussion.
Basically, the speed of light in DC would be irrelevant speed, which means above the concept of speed, and like I think that's really stupid.
Yeah, that is really stupid. But that's DC. Like DC.
Yeah.
Like I love DC Comics. I have a huge fondness for it, but its lore, logic, and general can be really screwy at times, especially considering with all the reboots.
I think at times it can be great. Like, okay, one of the things DC does that no other series has really done, in my eyes, is taken the full advantage of being able to tell a story with higher dimensions. Like, when you look at Lucifer Morningstar, when you look at when he cares for, like, Lucifer, a regular human, right? It's the fact that he's higher dimensional adds a lot of context to it. Because what essentially he's doing is he's acknowledging someone who, from his perspective as a higher dimensional being, the person he's talking to doesn't really exist. It's not even an ant. It's like a picture. Like, to us, an ant is still a three-dimensional thing. It's still alive. It still acts. It has thoughts. It's like a picture or a drawing. Like, just a drawing on a piece of paper. That's the way he would see humanity. But he still cares. Like, that speaks to his character, right? And I like that. Or with Sandman. Like, there's a lot you can do. Yeah.
A lot of DC Sandman is more about him caring, more about his relationship with humanity. Like, that's pretty much a lot of what makes DC Sandman Sandman. Is, despite how powerful he is and how broken he is, he still cares for people. He still, even though he's above pretty much everyone, he's pretty, like, he still has some level of compassion. And
there's a lot of interesting ways you can take telling a story with archetypal concepts of your characters. Like, you can explore, like, do these characters, these entities, have free will if they are destined, or they're guaranteed to always be a singular concept? Do they really have free will? Can they choose to do things if they will always be a single thing? Do they have power over us, or do we have power over them? Obviously, they determine what we do. Destiny determines our destiny, but destiny only exists in a sense because we acknowledge that destiny is a possible thing. What is the relation between these concepts and us? There's a lot of philosophical questions you could ask, and a lot of interesting character pathways, and the only series that really does that is DC with Vertigo. Because, like, I like Marvel, but Marvel, a lot of the time they tackle higher dimensions, it's less, this character doesn't acknowledge us as a thing because it exists on a higher dimension, and more, boy, this guy, he's fucking strong. He would spank Goku. He would eat Sans with a fucking eyeball. Man, he's on a higher dimension. He's unga bunga boy. And there's a dissonance there.
I will argue there is one character where they kind of explore that a lot, and that's Franklin Richards.
Yeah. I hear a lot of good things from Franklin, admittedly.
Yeah. And generally, Fantastic Four in general kind of tends to explore that concept a bit. But yeah, I do think for DC's Vertigo really goes into that detail.
Yeah.
Like, Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison especially just love going into the detail of higher plane dimensional.
I really think
characters.
That higher dimensional characters is a facet of storytelling that hasn't been explored to the potential it could be. At least not in, like, the mainstream, at least. There might be some, like, obscure things that have done it very well. I'm sure Asimov has probably got some book out there that explores it in a really interesting way. But
Discworld.
Discworld, that's Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett.
I guess I don't really...
That goes into big detail.
To be fair, I don't read Terry Pratchett for the deep, in-depth storytelling. But yes, there's Terry Pratchett. like I guess Stephen King also goes into it to an extent.
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft, of course, probably does it in the best way in
Yeah.
terms of a horror. Like the
Yeah.
idea that
He's very much horror focused.
this, like Cthulhu, what makes him scary is not just, oh, he's an unga bunga big strong guy. It's that he's not like, he doesn't acknowledge us. Like we don't
Yeah.
exist to him.
We're little
How do you fight something that doesn't even
that
notice you're
doesn't
there?
acknowledge you exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of cosmic horror, which
Doctor
is
Who
the key.
also Doctor Who also goes a bit detail with it. Like a lot of the Time Lords in the series just do basically have very little opinion on humanity and other beings besides them because they're so powerful. They're so powerful they can literally rewrite the physics of time.
Yeah, and that's what makes
like
the Doctor
literally
unique. Like one of the things that makes him
cares
unique.
about people.
The timeless child.
Oh god, Timeless Child's a whole mess.
I haven't even like kept up with Doctor Who much. Like I've watched I think 4 episodes of Doctor Who in my life, but listening, like learning what the timeless child twist is, it just I don't know. It's not what I ever pictured Doctor Who being. Like or the Doctor being is this destined chosen God Jesus child.
He isn't like. That's kind of my frustration with Timeless Child. He's a guy who decided to, you know what, I'm gonna help people. I'm not gonna be some Time Lord who basically considers humanity everyone below him. Basically, he's the Doctor. He wants to help people. He wants to, that's why he chose the name the Doctor. To care for others, treat others like he would, to be kind. That's basically his mantra.
Yeah.
Be kind. Like, don't be an all-powerful god. Don't be someone who treats everyone below him. Be kind. Be respectful.
Yeah.
I mean, the Doctor isn't a hero in a traditional sense. He's done a lot of bad things.
The Doctor isn't a hero, but what he is a good person.
Exactly.
I just had a thought. Why didn't they make the Master the timeless child? Like, just thinking about it, wouldn't that...
Yeah, that would have been so much better.
I get a feeling that
better.
I've just had the most lukewarm take. I bet that's probably like a big like thing in the community of Doctor Who is that it should have been the Master. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. But that thinking about it, I feel like I just said something that everyone else has already thought of.
No, yeah, but a lot of people thought the Master should have been the Timeless Child if they were going to do it, because the problem with the Timeless Child is quite simply, like, don't make Doctor, despite how, let's be honest, how extremely powerful he is in terms of his mental intelligence, he's not a god.
No.
He's not. He might be a god in terms of his intelligence, but he's not an all-powerful deity who breaks the laws of physics.
Like,
he's the one who tries to find a solution to a problem.
Didn't he once have a moment where like he did sort of break the rules to save someone? I watched the episode. It was on Mars, where someone was meant to die and he saved her anyway. Yeah. But then at the end of the episode, she kills herself to ensure the timeline is fine.
And he went too far. Like, they acknowledge in the story he broke his rules.
I think I've watched that one. I've watched Blink.
Blink's really good.
I did watch an episode with a Dalek, but I don't remember which one. And there's a 4th episode with the Master I've watched that I don't remember either. I really should watch more Doctor Who. I just don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah. Speaking of time.
Yeah.
I did kind of do. Yeah, I did go. I think we should probably get back to Goku Black versus Reverse Flash.
The thing is, right, we have precedent for where they're going to put Goku Black, like in attack potency. At least 9 times universal, possibly 3,600 times universal, most likely just way into multiversal. We know it's not going to be above millions of times, because that's where they put Broly, and Broly takes a big steaming shit on Goku Black in terms of raw power.
Yeah, I doubt they'll get him that high.
So it's going to be anywhere between thousands and like low-level millions, anywhere between that span. But the problem is we know that for speed, it's just in the quintillions. I think they had? It was quintillions or quadrillions.
Yeah.
They had Beerus and Broly.
I think it was quadrillions.
Now
Could be wrong.
they could add.
I really should rewatch that episode though.
I'm gonna look it up just to cover my bases, to make sure I don't fuck it up, because I know that I really should remember, because I made that whole video about all like the death battle stats, but I don't remember all of them. Look it up. Let me just search for the word. Yeah, 240 quadrillion times faster than light is where they put Broly and Beerus. And if you were to apply multipliers to that, you would probably get decently high. But the problem is, I don't think you really get to reverse flash speed, like even in finite numbers.
No, probably not. Even if you don't scale reverse flash to Wally's absolute best feats, that reverse flash should just be much higher and massively faster than light.
Like you could easily scale into Hal Jordan's SOS feat, which they did acknowledge in the cast of Ben 10 vs Green Lantern. They explicitly point out that there is a feat that Hal does that, in terms of speed, they explicitly compare it to Mega Man EXE's feat, and they say it's higher than EXE's. So,
yes,
above Novum Decillion versus upscaling from Quadrillion.
Huge.
If they do that, that will probably be the best way to explain just the sheer gap in speed between these two.
Yep. And even if you put Goku Black at more durable, which I think they will in the episode, I'm pretty sure they will. Like, Reverse Flash just has so many means. Like, he has more means. Like, there's an entire list of the things that Reverse Flash can do to fuck Goku Black's up, even if he can't.
Yeah, you're in the G1 strength. Server. You can probably read out a couple of like the ways that Eobard could kill Goku Black. Not much is going to be on the screen for people this time, because like obviously this is Mal, so it's a lot more casual than if I was with Cyber or Akil or Bang, who I will not be with for a while, sadly. Even though I know for a fact that I emailed Bang, but he hasn't gotten back yet. But I know for a fact one of the things he's going to be thinking when he learns what this episode is you guys really couldn't do this in the first half of the season.
Yeah, like, man, Bang would have been all over this episode.
Yeah, I would definitely be like in a talk with Bang, and maybe Akil would be here. I don't know if he was here, but obviously I'm not. So there's gonna be less scans for this one, as it is. But like my arguments
a lot more casual talking.
Like, I guess Mal could drop some of the scans if he has any of like what Reverse Flash has done, but most of it's like precedent set. Like, we know where they're going to put Goku Black in speed, most likely. We know the limits of his attack potency, because they're not going to put him at full Broly level, because he's not at Broly's level. They're not going... They're probably going to put Eobard faster, like with Wally scaling, because like they did put Wally at incalculable numbers, like beyond the limits of being able to calculate a speed. Which, at that point, it's not really speed anymore, but that is just Eobard. Or just the Flash in general as a character he's super fast in just that he does speed isn't really a factor with the Flash. Like the way DC's written him,
that's his whole thing.
Yeah. And we know from She-Ra vs Wonder Woman that they do consider blitzing and haxing first before you get hit by someone who could kill you in one shot to be a viable win condition. Otherwise Wonder Woman would not have won against She-Ra. So, with all the precedent set, I think that unless they were to not scale Eobard fully, or even like at all, to Wally and Barry, or they were to for some reason, I think he does scale at least to like their regular feats. Because
honestly, I think he almost there's an argument to be made that Reverse Flash scales to Barry's best feats. Maybe not Wally's specifically, but Barry's definitely. Like, there's been multiple occasions where Eobard has basically beaten the Flash in sheer speed.
Yeah, like the thing with Eobard, right, and what I think means he probably should scale, is that the entire point of the Reverse Flash character in his inception was to make a villain for the Flash who can keep up with him. Like, obviously nowadays, if you've got like Zoom, like the one that's not Eobard, the other Zoom, you got like there is Savitar, who I think is an older villain. Godspeed's probably the most noteworthy, and Black Flash, who are all like at that level, but Eobard is like the main one. That's the whole point, is being as fast as the Flash. And if he was at a point where he's so slow that he's at Goku Black's level, it's kind of a pants concept, isn't it? To have a guy who can match the Flash in speed, but not really.
Exactly. There's an interesting feat that I'm going to bring up that basically says Batman. This is Batman, so this is Batman's counter the Reverse Flash. But he basically says with sworn speed and time traveling abilities, both Batman and Barry basically say that Eobard could literally run across all of time and space before his death in like and his death happened in little seconds.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think you can quantify. I don't think you can quantify that, but
no, because
he's kind of right. Like,
once again, that's not even really a speed at that point, running through time.
Yeah, it's very difficult to quantify how fast you run through time.
I had a conversation with Kingsley and I forgot his name. I'm so sorry if you're watching this on Death Battle
Cyber?
community server. No, I don't remember.
I think it was Cyber, but
I don't think it was Cyber, but like on like Infinite and Immeasurable and Relevant, and like I do think that there comes a point they're not speeds anymore. Like Infinite, you could say is a speed, but at the same time, the speed calculation requires you to literally divide by 0, which you can't do. But then Immeasurable, you got to divide by a negative number, which you can do, but also the result's going to be wrong, and it's not a speed anymore, because when time is no longer part of the equation, it's not speed. It's just distance. You haven't got speed anymore. And with Irrelevant, distance isn't a thing either. You've got neither distance nor time, because you're above both. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
In the same way, omnipresence isn't a speed. But people are more accepting of omnipresent not being a speed.
Like, I don't count omnipresence as a speed, because it straight up probably isn't.
Yeah.
And really, only the top tier characters you can make an argument, except, well, of course, the infamous one, Tro Alucard, but that's a whole nother debate we'll get to when we eventually do Dio Alucard.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm probably gonna be involved in.
Yeah.
No, the prediction video.
I think you already called dibs.
It just depends. Yeah, I think I did like a couple of months ago, but that matchup is a whole nother can of worms. I'm looking forward to that episode, but I'm not looking forward to the fallout of that episode.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to do a lot to explain to casuals exactly why Dio completely stomps over Alucard.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not even like. Honestly, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I'm not gonna do what I'm inevitably gonna do with Joker vs. Giorno. I've pretty much settled that when Joker vs. Giorno happens, my prediction is just gonna be me lying on the floor for like a couple minutes.
Yeah,
I'm not doing a full prediction for that, and it's not because I don't think the debate is interesting, because it is an interesting debate. But I don't want to get into it.
It's a huge mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And who knows? Though, John Joker might eventually go the way of Josuke Yu and basically become irrelevant.
Maybe.
But
I haven't watched part 5 as well,
so
I would rather not have people bring up things that would spoil it. Not that I'm completely...
Yeah. Like, this is... Like, Jonah vs. Joker, mind you, is such a heavily requested matchup. They have to do it. Like, I would not be surprised if it's next season.
Yeah, I could see that
or
as...
one of the big...
I could see that as a premiere. Like, I feel like that could kick up an audience.
Law Storm. Especially considering how infamous GER is. It's kind of like Alien X.
Yeah.
Which is a whole...
In the same...
Like, in the fact that...
Same as, like, Alucard. There's a reason I put Alucard in my Twitter post for, like, the most overhyped characters. It's not because he is that powerful, because in that Battle Royale, he gets annihilated by everyone, but it's because he is...
Yeah.
Like, Schrodinger, at least, is overplayed.
So infamous. He's so infamous.
Yeah.
You know?
But...
Sure, I do wonder how they're going to tackle Show Alucard in the episode. If they're going to just explain him, but say why he shouldn't be used, or...
I hope they don't include...
It.
The problem, right, is that how in terms of, like, the fight, how would you have Alucard switch to Schrodinger midway? Like, you really
Can't.
couldn't. So I'd rather they
Can't-
just not include it, because you either get Alucard or Alucard with less abilities and, like, one soul.
Yeah. Also, like, level 0 is just gonna happen. Like, I think Dio Alucard's gonna be sprites purely because level 0 needs to happen. It is one of the big abilities Alucard has, and that would be nearly impossible to do in 3D.
I'm really curious how they justify it. Like Alucard's gonna, like, call Integra in the middle of the fight and go, "Hey, so, can I bust out level 0? I'm fighting a strange British vampire right now, and he seems to be really fast and stopping time, and he keeps punching me in the middle of the call, and I really don't like that."
I think Alucard can bust out level 0 anytime he wants.
I think
but
it can.
he-
It's
he
just like in terms of, like, in character, he would ask, and I just find it really funny, just him stopping and be like, "Give me a moment, Dio Brando." "Integra, can I do it?"
Yeah.
"What do you mean, no?" "Bitch."
How much damage? Like, I really hope they do level 0 justice, because it is such a cool idea. You know, just a huge wave of souls just invading, and it absolutely needs to be part of the climax, in my opinion.
Climax. Yeah.
Especially if I know this is unlikely, but I really hope they, due to budget reasons, but I really hope we get like a custom sprite of Dracula Alucard, like with a giant sword as like the climax, like have like hide, you know, the Dio that absorbed Joseph Joestar's blood versus Dracula Alucard.
Yeah. I just want them to include Part 1 Dio abilities, freeze some shit, shoot some eye lasers.
Eye lasers. That'd be cool. Like see the level 0 wave just coming at Dio, and then Dio just smiles and just uses his laser beam to just stab everything.
I hope I would rather the kill not be the Road Roller, because, like, that's such an overdone finishing move.
Yeah.
Like, I like the Road Roller scene, but I get why it's a meme, because he pulls a Road Roller literally out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, doesn't really get much accomplished. That scene is literally the scene of Dio right before he dies.
Exactly. No. An idea I just off in my head is literally the giant wave of level 0 souls coming up to Dio, and then Dio flies the Roadrunner straight into it.
He just drives it.
Spots Alucard, like drops it right into the giant wave of level 0.
What in the world?
That
How
would be like amazing.
How do you know how to drive a Road Roller? I don't. I'm getting the world to push it. You just see the world pushing the Road Roller through the wave.
Yeah, that would be amazing. You know, that would make good use of. I know it's unlikely to. That'd be really funny, and as well as a really cool moment of just how Dio would deal with level 0.
Yeah, not sure how they would animate.
I'm not expecting to.
Not sure how they animate like Dio win. The only way to animate Dio winning is if he is against level 0, because against regular Alucard, the only way Dio's going to win is punching him for a long time.
Very hard.
That's not going to be the most interesting. And, like, the problem is, the Alucard doesn't, like, regenerate instantaneously. Like, Dio punches faster than Alucard can regenerate, so he's going to have to pause every now and again to let Alucard regenerate and then go again. Like, that just... that sounds like the most boring thing to watch.
Yeah, it's why they're going to bust out level 0. They have to bust out level 0.
Yeah, because that's the only way they could have the fight end with, like, unless Alucard wins.
Really climactic fashion.
They don't think Alucard wins is the problem. I guess that's the thing when it comes to prediction. It's going to be, they think Alucard loses, so he will lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's similar to what we're doing for Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash. We're just looking at what they've done in the past. It's just consistent. And right, you should probably go through, like, the list of things Eobard has that would stop Goku Black.
Oh my! There is one thing I'm really wondering about. How much are they going to include the pre-crisis bullshit item stuff? Like, he literally, like, it's literally in the blog we've listed a couple of these, but he has little explosives that, when activated on a cosmic treadmill, literally disperses atoms across the past and the future through the time barrier. and create shockwaves that were capable of tearing the Flash apart in less than 3/10 of a second if he didn't act. And that's
I
just the start of the most pre-crisis
I think there
insane
needs to be a
items, like,
scene where Eobard reveals he's taken off Goku Black's time ring.
I think they'll probably do that. Like, I've actually seen this argument. There's been a debate on Reset Era regarding if Reset Era is not a great place for debating versus debating, but there's a debate on if Goku if Reverse Flash is and basically just hacks, time travel hacks. Goku Black basically do what Beerus did, and like I'm leaning towards no. Like, there's an argument to be made that the Beerus feat, what Beerus did to Zamasu, proves that Reverse Flash couldn't do the same. It's literally the point that Goku Black has pretty much become a paradox. That you can't really kill his past self in order to stop him.
Well, that's why he takes off the time ring.
Yeah.
Like, if you took off the time ring, he probably could do something like that. I feel like
True.
there's probably something stupid Eobard's done where he's like just destroyed a paradox. I mean, in the end, he could just throw Goku Black into the Speed Force, and then like that's it. Goku Black just gets eaten by the Speed Force. That's one way he could finish it. Because like, I know that everyone's gonna be like, well, but weaker characters like Boo have just screamed their way out. But like, even characters who can do that have not been able to escape the Speed Force. So.
Yeah, you can make an argument like Speed Force is a completely different dimensional tier. I think I'm gonna grab the DC World Map thing.
Yeah, like the Speed Force is
like the
like right near the edge, near the Sphere of Gods, and like that region.
Yeah, it is a high dimensional tier.
Yeah.
The Speed Force, and you can make an argument negative Speed Force is also the same.
Well, because the negative Speed Force is like just the Speed Force, but backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can make an argument now. It will be a lot more difficult for Goku Black to escape the Speed Force. It's not impossible for him to do so, but it will just be very unlikely.
Yeah.
Considering.
Honestly, I would almost say
dimensional tier it is.
I'd say it almost is impossible, because other characters who can travel through dimensions haven't managed to get out of it.
Yeah.
And like that is a problem you face. Is if characters who can do that can't, then what's Goku Black gonna do?
Even Barry Allen couldn't escape the Speed Force for a while.
Yeah, and like he is the Speed Force basically.
Yeah.
It trapped himself.
A lot of.
Yeah.
Requires a lot to escape the Speed Force, and the negative Speed Force I think would probably be on the same assumption.
Yeah. So, the only one I'm not sure on is if the Still Force works that way. But I don't see Gorilla Grodd being in this season, so I don't have to worry about that.
And really, I don't see Gorilla Grodd in general in that battle. I mean, there is Winston, but that is like the biggest stomp in the history of stomps.
I could see them doing Grodd, just not for a while. He would need to get a big movie appearance to promote it.
Yeah.
It was like the last time he was relevant was in the CW, and that was a while ago when he was last.
Yeah. Where he tried to kill Barack Obama. In the Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, I love Legends of Tomorrow, but it is goofy.
Legends of Tomorrow is the best CW DC show, except for maybe
Agreed.
I don't know about Lois and Clark. I haven't seen it, or if that even counts. But Legends of Tomorrow is the only one where the stupidity is charming.
Yes, like the end of I think of season 3 where they had Bieber
with the giant Bieber, yeah,
Malice.
versus yeah.
That's great.
Like when Barry Allen, like what season was Cicada in? But in that season,
season 4,
yeah,
5, yeah.
No, 4 was
5.
4 was the Thinker. It was 5. Yeah,
5.
6 was Bloodwork. Basically, every time there were so many times I was screaming, like just genuinely screaming at the TV because I was just that angry that they would expect me to be that stupid as to not be like, why don't you just throw him in a cell? Like, you know this,
exactly. Like,
you know when they get.
That's kind of the problem with Flash.
Yeah.
Flash TV series, like that's kind of also the problem with Flash as a character in general. Like, I love Flash, don't get me wrong. How broken his powers are and how the nature of his powers make it very difficult for them to actually give a believable threat to
Yeah,
him.
and I guess that's one of the things that makes Eobard so great, is that he's one of those species that
Yes.
can, but unlike like Zoom or Godspeed, I actually like Eobard. Like, I'm sure Godspeed's fine in the comics, but I like Eobard. He's such a cunt. But
Yeah, like he's also great in Legends of Tomorrow as well. Like
he's one of the
I think
best
both of
CW
his
characters.
yeah, I think he's just a fun villain. You just like having him around.
The best scene of season 6 is when Eobard's plan succeeds, and you just have that slow motion shot of time freezing while he's in the middle of being executed, and he just smiles as his eyes glow red. That's the best scene of that season. Is just that moment where it's like, oh shit, a villain's actually won, and he succeeds, and Nora dies, and he gets away with everything. Like, that
Yeah, pretty much.
is a great scene, and that's the only great scene of the season.
Yeah. Flash just went downhill. I love Reverse Flash, but I wouldn't watch the Flash, CW's Flash purely for him.
But like, you know the scene in season 5, right, where they gather around Cicada at the hospital, and Cisco manages to throw his knife into space, and for I think 4 or 5 minutes they don't stop him, and for the last entire 30 seconds he's holding his arm up, obviously pulling it back. Cisco doesn't put a portal above him to throw the knife back out. Barry doesn't do anything to stop him. Killer Frost is there and she doesn't do anything, even though she can negate his powers. Nobody does anything as he's standing there. Like, even Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World is a bad movie, but Curse is still a smart enough villain to notice when Thor is pulling Mjolnir towards him and backhands it. He's even Thor the Dark World has one up the Flash.
Yeah.
How?
That's another. And for the Dark World's just boring.
And like the
badness.
only scenes with Thor the Dark World I like is the ones with Thor and Loki together, because Hemsworth and Hiddleston have such good chemistry together. I love the scene where they're like flying on the thing. That's the best scene of that movie. The Curse fight is not one of the good scenes, but by God, has it one up the Flash? That is sad.
Yeah. And also a lot of the CGI in the Flash has just become bad.
Well, the CW in general, it's like the last time I think I saw the CGI and went, wow, that's good, is when I saw like footage from Lois and Clark. But then I heard that wasn't actually made by the CW, just produced. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that checks out.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Arrowverse at first, but I think it's kind of time to wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
Or at least
I'm glad
even though I love Legends of...
I'm glad with Arrow they knew to wrap it up. They finished it, put a bow on it, Arrow's done. That was good.
And I love Legends of Tomorrow, but I don't want it to overstay its welcome. I do think it should come to an end point.
If they're going to do anything,
eventually.
Redo the Constantine show now that people have shown an interest in the character.
And I would love Constantine brought back. Like, Matt Ryan is perfect as Constantine. Like,
yeah.
I think he's one of the most comic accurate portrayals of a character ever.
Yeah, because he's not only does he he carries himself the way Constantine was. He's an asshole. He's still a good bloke, but he is an asshole.
Well, you could make an argument comics Constantine is not a good person. Like, at least in the original Hellblazer. In the original Hellblazer, he was just not. He was inherently in the Hellblazer comics. He's kind of an inherently toxic person to literally all his relationships.
He is
even worse than someone like Tony Stark can be at times when it comes to his him constantly screwing up his relationship. So even like during a Death Battle call, we also discussed Hank Pym. The infamous one in terms of how badly he screws up his relationships.
Oh, you ever want to talk about Mr. Fantastic beating his wife? Well,
like even also Mr. Fantastic as well.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be an interesting discussion when we get Ant-Man vs. Atom.
Ant-Man vs. Atom happens and the fight starts because Atom sees Ant-Man backhand his wife. Just BAM! She goes down like a sack of shit and Atom's like, "Excuse you, sir." And that's how the fight starts.
There's a part of me that who really likes Han Pingman's character and kind of feels a bit jibbed the fact that he's just associated with that one scene, and like literally, he's an extremely interesting character, but people just boil him down to just that scene.
Well, he does go a bit mentally unstable for a while.
Yeah,
So
he does.
I'm gonna have to reread the Marvel and DC comics, like, when that happens, because I remember, like, for the purposes of that video where, like, I talked about every time a character, like, has encountered their opponent on Death Battle in official media, I know Ant-Man and Adam are both in Marvel, but in JLA/Avengers. I don't remember if they fight, though.
Don't think they do.
Because the thing is, Adam vanishes for, like, the first half of the comic to spy on Metron and the Grandmaster, where he does come back, but he is there when the Avengers and the JLA have their final battle for the last item they were looking for. I just don't remember if he and Adam actually had a scrap in it. Because like that scene is a home for like most of the fighting in that comic, and it is the only time we know for a fact Green Arrow and Hawkeye have a fight. I don't remember Adam having a scrap in it. I really don't. And I know for a fact Goku Black and Reverse Flash have not, and I don't think Goku Black or Reverse Flash are in Dragons and Puzzle in any of the collaborations in that. So I'm pretty sure they've never encountered each other in any capacity.
And of course, Kool-Aid. Actually, no. Have Kool-Aid Man and Randy Savage ever met?
I only know of them meeting in Robot Chicken, which I'm not counting because Robot Chicken is. I would have to watch so much just to check. And the problem is, every time a new Death Battle comes out, if I don't remember, I'd have to rewatch everything again. Nope, not doing that.
That's fair.
Dio and Alucard
kind
have
of
never
feel
met.
weird that
Kuma Shao Kahn have never met. Madara and Aizen.
Madara versus Aizen have surprisingly met.
Yeah, but it was an off-screen fight where, and I corrected this in the comments, Madara didn't technically win. They walk up after Madara has laid Aizen out, but Madara gets, like, Aizen gets back up, and Madara's like, so you were tricking me, and Aizen was like, nah. So technically,
That's pretty much that fight in a nutshell.
It was a DNF. It was no winner of that fight. I'm still giving it to Madara, though, out of bias.
I don't think Korra and Rey have encountered each other, if that ends up being the matchup.
I don't think Korra's encountered any of her opponents. Never encountered Rey. Definitely never encountered Delson, and I don't think she ever encountered Storm either.
No.
And Galactus and Unicron go in the category of, they do exist in like the same sort of world, because Unicron was in the Marvel comics, and obviously Galactus is part of that multiverse as well. And there is an emanation, or like an avatar, or like an incarnation of Galactus for each individual universe. And because we know Nick Fury and Spider-Man exist in this Marvel universe, most likely there is a Galactus as well. And while it is possible that they have fought, because Unicron did eat that entire universe, I think it's more likely that, because the whole thing of Galactus is that he's a guy who survived the destruction of the universe, more likely, this is all headcanon, is that version of Galactus, he either does exist but never fought Unicron because he came into being after Unicron destroyed the first universe, or there is a Gallon, but he never became Galactus because instead of like gestating within the new Big Bang, there was no new Big Bang when this universe ended. It just slowly pulled itself back together from little leftovers after Unicron went to sleep. So that would be my headcanon for where the Galactus of that universe is that he either never existed as Galactus, just as Gallon, or he has existed but he never encountered Unicron.
I really do wonder if they're going to bring that up in the Galactus vs. Unicron episode. If literally they're going to show that Doctor Who panel, literally the Omniverse. Like, you can connect Doctor Who to Transformers to Marvel. So,
well, yeah, you can.
They show that.
And like, even without that panel, Doctor Who, Marvel, and Transformers have all encountered Death's Head, like the same individual character. So that was interesting. Reading about Death's Head. Guys fought the Hulk.
That'll be a fun discussion.
I think
a fun discussion.
You could make the stupid argument that Marvel Transformers scale to the Hulk through Death's Head. I wouldn't do that because I haven't read the fight properly. But you could make that stupid argument. And hey, if Doctor Who ever had a scrap with Death's Head, that would mean he scales to the Hulk as well.
I don't think he did. I think
No, I think he just helped him
yeah,
along
it
the way.
is. It's kind of strange how much you can connect other universes to each other,
Oh yeah, because
even through the most tangentially related means.
like Marvel, DC connect obviously, and Marvel connects to like Transformers, which connects to Death's Head, to Doctor Who, also connects to My Little Pony, also connects to GI Joe, and connects to
Richard, I
GoBots.
just realized something.
Yo.
Reed Richards, I think, in the comic states that he got some time travel technology from the Doctor. Or
Yeah,
has
yes,
at
he
least
does.
met the Doctor.
He does.
It does kind of make you wonder, why weren't you here during the multiverse collapse? Why weren't you here during Secret Wars?
He was busy on epic rap battles of history.
Probably.
That's my
But
explanation.
yeah, like a lot of the multiverse spanning events kind of make question when you realize, wait, shouldn't characters from other franchises
Yeah.
appear if their universe is being threatened? Like
I think
Transformers is another
Transformers
big one.
and DC are the biggest ones because DC twice have technically canonically crossed over with Marvel, and Transformers has I think 3 separate universal streams or like universal designations that simultaneously exist in Transformers and Marvel at the same time, which you think they'd get involved. Like you think I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe a cosmic time lord like Vector Prime would show up and be like, "What the fuck is going on here? What the shit is all this, mate?" And especially bothersome because the Transformers do have the Alternity, which specifically fight against the Hytherian, which is time, like the embodiment of time. So when something is affecting the time stream, the Alternity just look at Marvel and go, you guys can deal with it yourself, to be honest. Sod off, you
Yeah,
want?
pretty much.
Which sounds a bit callous. But obviously, like, the
No,
Marvel
I just-
DC don't
I-
expect you to think that much about it.
Yeah, they probably don't. And I just realized if you connect, I know that you probably haven't heard of the series, but if you connect Marvel and Transformers to Doctor Who, you also connect Marvel and Transformers to Coronation Street.
Nah.
Literally, Doctor Who had a crossover with Coronation Street. It's like you could make an entire rabbit hole of the amount of crossovers and connections.
Yeah, you definitely, if you just start with Marvel, then you could basically connect almost anything. Like you can connect to Puzzle and Dragons, and that connects to so much. Like not just Western
Yeah.
stuff, but Eastern stuff, and there's a lot of things in there. God, you can even connect to like. You can connect a lot. You can connect to a lot. You can connect to Scooby Doo. Through
Yeah.
DC, which connects
Scooby-Doo.
to Akadaka. And most importantly, Kiss.
Yeah, Kiss. Most
Um,
importantly, Kiss.
and Kiss also has also interacted with Marvel as well, which is interesting. The demon once like encountered Mephisto, I think, and yeah, and you can connect to Mortal Kombat as well through Injustice
Yeah,
2, how
DC
they
universe.
directly reference that is canon. Sub-Zero
Yes.
did encounter Batman and such before. So that is
Yeah.
entirely canon, and obviously through Marvel, you also connect to Capcom because Earth 10587, something like that, or 15087, some designation like that is the Marvel's Capcom universe, which connects to so many other franchises, especially Street Fighter, and Street Fighter connects to like
Space Fighter, Ace
rival
Attorney,
schools. Yeah, there's
rival
Ace Attorney.
schools.
Um,
I kind of do wonder if Capcom really wanted to, they really could connect a lot of their franchises because they mostly are in the modern day.
well, because Final Fight, Rival Schools, and Street Fighter are already together, and then Strider
Yeah.
takes place in the future of Street Fighter.
Yeah, Ace Attorney potentially could take place in the future of Street Fighter, considering it, but not in the far future, like a couple of years afterwards. If they really wanted to, but I don't think they would.
Oh yeah, and
Like,
you
imagine-
you can connect Danganronpa to all this as well, because Marvel's DC has Dante, who appeared in Shin Megami Tensei Liberation 2 as a crossover, and also just Shin Megami Tensei in general, actually. And
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei obviously connects to Persona, and that connects to Joker. And Joker appeared in a game called Chain Chronicle, which also includes Danganronpa characters and Guilty Gear characters, as well as that time I
Guilty Gear is
reincarnated.
a whole-
That time I reincarnated as a Slimes in
Mine's-
there as well. There's a lot.
There's also Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Yeah, there's Blades Blue Cross Tag Battle,
She,
which brings in Ruby, which already was in there because of DC, but also brings in
yeah,
Undenied Inbirth, which also brings in the entire
Persona,
Nasuverse
and the entire
because
Nasuverse.
of Eltnam, who appears in Tsukihime. I think it's in Tsukihime, yeah. And an alternate version of her appears in Fate Grand Order, and then Fate also double backs to Tsukihime with and Melty Blood with various characters like Asajumi, and of course, most importantly, Shiki Ryugi, who is the entire route which connects to everything in the Nasuverse.
Thing. Nasuverse is a huge, like, Doctor Who has a complicated mythos, Kingdom Hearts has a complicated mythos, but the Nasuverse is like peak complexity.
I think any of them individually is fine enough, but the problem is you've got to connect them all.
Yes.
And you got
That's
issues like
a huge.
like the root is the
It's
big
a whole
thing
nother
'cause
ball game.
they're all the root's involved in all of it. And like
Like every Natsu game, you mean every
every
setting
like
in the Natsuverse.
every universe and timeline within the Nasuverse is either connected to something that references the root or references the root. And I think this all started with Fate Hollow Ataraxia, where Gilgamesh, when he uses Enumai Leash, or he doesn't even use Enumai Leash, he just wakes up Aya. He literally just states, the weapon that knows the truth, and the truth in Nasuverse refers to the truth of the root, which is what all wizards and alchemists aspire to find. And when that happened, I think that sort of just sparked all the connections that would later come in the franchise between the root and the Nasu and Fate. And that continued to spiral out until the whole Nasuverse was connected into one multiverse through the root.
One giant multiverse. It does kind of make me wonder when we eventually get the Fate. I think we're gonna get a Fate Death Battle eventually.
Eventually. Oh, and Akatsuki Blitzkampf is also connected through Crosstag because of Akatsuki and the Blitz tank. And that's cool. I don't think Blitzkampf connects to anything other than that, though.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. The multiverse is a bitch.
Yep.
Like, there's so much you can do with like multiverse. Like,
I think that would be an
do like it.
Video to do, but it would be too long.
Yeah, it would be extremely long.
And I would not make make a visual map for it because that would take too long. Speaking of too long, back on track a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have discussed all there is to Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash. I guess there is like what we want in the fight, and I think like the main thing I want.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be in sprites. Like.
Yeah, I feel like sprites is the best option. Like, yes, you could do it in 3D, but you'd be restricting your movement significantly.
I think it's not Goku Black that's a problem with 3D. It's definitely Earbard. The problem is you got to convey that blistering speed in 3 dimensions now, and that's really difficult to do. Like if you've watched like Mighty Raccoon's arcade mode, I don't think he pulled it off. I don't think he pulled it off with Flash. It's just something hard. Like,
that was kind of a joke episode. That was kind of a joke episode.
True, but
anyway, so.
Like I think Goku vs Superman's the only time in 3D for Death Battle at least that speed has been conveyed in like an effective way, and a lot of that came through heavy blurring and camera shake and actually making the models like skip frames, but at a frame rate high enough to be able to make it look natural. Like when Superman flies off into the distance, that really captures the sheer blinding speed he's going at.
Yeah, like despite how edged that fight can be at times, I do think it does a lot of things even better than some 3D fights nowadays.
Yeah, like
sense of speed.
If you look at Hulk versus Broly, it doesn't really convey speed much at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And what 3D Death Battles have we got this year?
Blake versus Mikasa.
No,
she did convey
some
speed.
in one scene. In that one scene where like you got the tracking shot of Blake and Mikasa swinging, it conveys the speed well enough. I'll give it that. Yoda versus Mickey didn't really at all. The one scene where they
Link versus Cloud.
It conveyed the speed of the motorcycles.
True, but outside of that, not really.
I think the biggest thing is the Omni Slash, which doesn't quite convey the speed right, but it is accurate to Advent Children, where Cloud's Omni Slash is about that slow. So I can't actually complain. That is pretty accurate to how it's.
Yeah, I don't know why they made it so slow. You know, in the movie, I guess it's a bit more
Smash did
cinematic,
it.
but
Smash did it best in terms of like the speed I expect when they added that. Which it was out of necessity, not out of desire, I guess.
I do kind of. I think they'll definitely incorporate a lot of the time travel aspects to it. Like,
Yeah, I think this is one where
a huge time travel focus.
Yeah, it's big for both of them because like Goku Black is like obviously in the future timeline, which is the time travel thing with Dragon Ball, and obviously Eobard, guy went back in time just to erase Barry's friend from existence. I mean, the guy goes back in time for like the smallest things.
Yeah, the guy is that petty. You can like in the blog we are explaining how petty Reverse
I've
Flash
seen
is.
some of the things. Some of them are just evil. Like the thing with like the ice sculpture of Iris's corpse. That's not even petty. That's evil. That's evil. Like that's just nasty.
You got I do wonder if the infamous meme will be included.
I feel like between them, Eobard's meme is more likely to appear. I don't think "Don't shoot, he's not black" is going to be in the fight.
Or Subarashi.
Yeah, I think because like he's going to be speaking in English. Subarashi is probably going to be in like a sidebar. I think they could put in like a weakness sidebar for Goku Black if they do. You can shoot him; he is black, but I feel like that's maybe out of context. That's probably a bit far. Like I would find it funny because I know the meme, but for casuals, they're gonna go, "Hold on,
wait, what?
That's not okay." Like you know when
He's
people
not black.
When people took like he isn't black like in terms of like his race. He's not even human. He's an alien. But I don't think that means gonna. But I do think Eobard's "It Was Me, Barry" is gonna be included somewhere. Like
I kind of do really hope they do like an "It Was Me" Goku Black moment. You know, like have throughout the fight have Goku Black miss a couple of things. Like you know, during the fight, some strange things happen to him while he's using his blasts while he's fighting, and like he gets suspicious, and then the reveal near the end of the fight is that secretly Reverse Flash has been manipulating the entire fight.
You could actually do an interesting way where Eobard, like Goku Black gets fed up and he's like, "What's happening?" And Eobard shows up and he's there and he's like, "It was me, Zamasu." And Goku Black's like, "How do you know my name?" And then Eobard raises his hand and he's holding the time ring in his hand, and Goku Black realizes it's no longer on him, and Eobard's gone back in time and fucked a bunch of shit up in the past, and Goku Black just never realized it. So you can use the "It Was Me, Zamasu" as an impactful moment where he reveals that he knows Goku Black's real name now, and that tells something of a story of what Eobard's just done. It implies so much.
That'd be really cool. That'd be a really great moment. Really, and it would fit fits Reverse Flash's character down to a T. Like, like more than anyone else, more than Wally, more than even Barry, Reverse Flash is extremely intelligent. Like, he doesn't really overpower his enemies in combat. He just outthinks them.
I also really want, like, you know how sometimes in the comics the Flashes will like walk in super speed. It's like they'll do an intentionally like mocking walk. I want Eobard to do that because we didn't get it with Barry, which makes sense. Well, I mean it doesn't. I feel like it would have fit perfectly in Flash vs Quicksilver if during the race Barry was just walking to insult Pietro. But I get it didn't really fit for Wally versus Sonic because you know. Sonic was
but for Eobard it would. Eobard is a cocky ass off. Eobard just loves toying with people. It's like his MO. He just takes pleasure even more than Lex Luthor. Like you can make an argument on who is more petty, Lex Luthor or Reverse Flash.
I think the only character in Death Battle I think gets to Reverse Flash levels is Doctor Doom in terms of like how petty asshole they can be. I think you just got Doctor. I don't even think like Dio Brando when he shows up later. I don't think he's gonna get to that level.
At least with Doctor Doom, he does focus on other aspects rather than Reed Richards at times. Like he will help out heroes occasionally if the Earth is being threatened. But Reverse Flash has no motive other than to make Barry Allen's life as miserable and as shit as possible.
And that is like one of the best things about Eobard is that he is one of the most just irredeemably evil characters
Evil.
in just any comic, really. Like, yeah, Darkseid's probably more evil by being the physical embodiment of evil, but his actions don't speak as loudly as Eobard's. Because while Darkseid's going to do things on a grand scale, Eobard makes it so personal.
He's a very personal villain. Like, he doesn't want to conquer the universe. He doesn't want to, like, destroy everything. He just wants to make Barry Allen's life as miserable as possible.
Yeah. And like, I like Goku Black, but I'm definitely rooting for Eobard. It's like the thing with Goku Black, right? In the actual anime, I didn't really give much of a shit about him. Like,
I mean, he's a good villain. He's a good intimidating villain.
He's the best original villain in Super, like by far. He is really the only one that is a villain. But like, even like as antagonists go, like Hit's fine, but he doesn't have the same. Like, he has more visual impact, but he doesn't have like the character of Goku Black. Aside from when he says "time to make the donuts," obviously. Like Champa's just Beerus but fat.
Champa.
Frieza and Beerus don't really count.
Jiren is just.
Jiren is no character.
Yeah, he's boring.
Like... Merge Zamasu is basically just Goku Black, but now he's got less character. Now, I mean, he's funny in Fighters because you got the whole meme of he never shuts up. I guess there is a question of...
I mean, that's completing character. That's completing character.
It is. It gives him a bit more...
To never shut up.
It gives a bit more flair in my eyes when he actually does speak for that long in the intro. Like, you know, with Answer from Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator, that he's always talking, and that adds so much character to him when he's like still talking in the middle of the fight, and the only time he doesn't talk is during his instant kill. Is the only time he's not on the phone, and I think that adds a lot of personality to him. And the same goes for Zamasu with like his talking.
Or even Rufus from Street Fighter. Rufus is more of an infamous example of his end quotes.
Yeah.
No, I like Rufus.
Goku Black reaches a point where in Fighters, I really like him because he actually has some good lines. Yeah. But in the anime, really I didn't really care in the anime.
He's a fun character. He's a fun character.
Well, he's a fun character to play.
Fighters. Yeah,
like, he's just a lot of fun to play. Fighters is a great game.
He was my main alongside Kid Buu and Beerus.
He was my main along with Hit, and I really just focused on them. I played Perfect Cell and 16 for a while along with them, and then when I got the DLC, I played Gogeta because his moves look cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't gotten the latest DLC though with like Roshi and Kefla and Gogeta.
I think Dragon Ball FighterZ does rep Dragon Balls in terms of characterization pretty well, but you know there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
In a story mode.
I'm a little bit sad Raditz never got into the game. Like I wouldn't choose him over any of the characters they did, but personally I would have thought it'd be really funny. Like similar to how Nappa was in the base roster if Raditz was just there.
I guess Nappa's more iconic, despite the fact he's also pretty much the same.
I think like what would have made Raditz interesting is in the story mode when you have like when you start a fight with a certain group of characters, they have an interaction. I think Raditz would have had a lot of interesting ones, like with Goku, with Vegeta and Nappa, with just Nappa, with Frieza, maybe with Piccolo even. Maybe you can have Raditz and Yamcha have a conversation and like they find some common ground in a way, and they almost have like some weird respect for each other. That'd be an interesting little bit of character.
Considering how much.
Yeah, given how
it's kind of sad how. It's sad how Goku's brother got completely sidelined and completely shortchanged.
To be fair, at least he got it better than Goku's father, who went from a really cool character in Father of Goku to a really bad character in an episode of Bardock to a non-character in Dragon Ball Minus, which I guess is such a fitting name.
Well, we'll probably talk about, people will talk about that once Bardock versus Omni-Man happens, which I think could happen next season.
I think it could happen. I think Omni-Man is like a shoo-in for next season. Whether he's fighting Bardock or Homelander, more likely Bardock.
Yeah.
I know Homelander's like more
how requested he is.
Like Homelander's definitely more requested, but I know they like Bardock more. Partially because like
it fits better.
On the Death Battle cast, even Ben Singer was winning the debate when he went for Omni-Man. That says something.
Yeah. Ben Singer never usually wins debates when it comes to Death Outcast.
Ben Singer, God bless you, but you are not Liam.
You, yeah. I don't know. Though to be fair to Liam can also make a bad argument, aka Gene Starwin versus Spike Spiegel.
Oh, what happened in that one?
Basically, he was trying to justify why Spike Spiegel would win, despite fighting against a guy who can literally shoot black holes.
I mean, to be fair,
he has literally
he is fighting a bit of an uphill battle there with Spike Spiegel.
True. Yes, versus a guy who honestly, I think Gene has more similarities to Star-Lord than Spike Spiegel, but that's just my opinion.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with Star when he comes in.
Yeah, I think Star-Lord's kind of inevitable, because I'm surprised we haven't got a single Guardians of the Galaxy character yet.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yeah. I feel like the problem is they would be focusing on the comics, and when Guardians was biggest, the comics were so different that it would be hard.
Yeah.
So it had to be like after that, but then they stopped. The relevancy dropped down. Maybe when Guardians 3 happens though, because now the Guardians are a bit more closer to their movie counterparts, that being good characters. I don't know. Drax is actually. I don't know about Drax, because Drax is hugely different in the comics. Like his whole backstory is different. I don't know if you could like have the goofy, funny Drax with that one's backstory.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I really don't want them to do Star-Lord versus Han Solo or Kirk. Like, I don't like that.
I think the big one is, and I think this might get more relevant considering how the Mass Effect collection recently came out, is Commander Shepard versus Star-Lord.
I have not actually thought of that one. My mind was going to Adam Strange from DC, but he's a literal who.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I like Commander Shepard versus Star-Lord, mostly due to the fact they were both they're both commanders of their own ship, featuring a wide variety of aliens. They both stop mechanical threats.
Yeah.
And they're both saviors of the galaxy.
I mean, I can get down with that.
Mostly focus on gunplay.
Star-Lord is a character I quite like in the MCU, and the comics I think have caught up with that sort of characterization. And I've watched a video on the history of the Guardians, which was quite interesting as well, like the in-universe history. Yeah. And I mean, I don't really know Commander Shepard that well, but getting a new video game rep would be really cool.
Yeah. So Commander Shepard might be a bit difficult, mostly due to how customizable he is as a character, but they could just focus on a lot of the things we do know about him.
I mean, they did use Cloud.
Yeah. They did use Cloud.
I mean, I wouldn't really count Link as customizable, because for the most part, it's pretty simple. Like, Cloud has a lot of things you can do. And I would love to bring up more RPG examples, but...
Yeah, but there's really not that many RPG characters in Death Battle, and they mostly focus on Final Fantasy VII, which I get, like, Final Fantasy VII is the big one.
Couldn't hurt you to go for 10 or 6 sometime. Those are pretty big. Even 4 or 15
or 13. I mean, honestly, probably the big RPG matchup they haven't done yet is Shulk versus Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, there's also Marth versus Erdrick, which I don't really care about, but that's a thing. And I mean, I honestly think Erdrick versus Zest would make more sense from Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
But no one cares about Zest. Most people don't even know his name.
Then Fire Emblem, which honestly probably will get into Death Battle.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get in. Probably
Emblem's a big one.
Martha, Lucina, possibly Byleth or Ike. Those are like the 4 characters I would expect. Unless a new game comes out before then whatever protagonist or most notable character of that would be the most likely.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to probably be Lucina, and probably the easiest one to do, even though it's probably not the most thematic, be Lucina versus Zelda. They're probably, I think that's probably the easiest one to do for the casual audiences, but it's also the least interesting.
Yeah. The only Lucina matchup I actually really like is Grovile. That's it. And I feel like there's a lot of people going to be like, why the fuck are you doing Lucina versus some
Lucina versus Grovile.
Some middle stage evolution from the Hoenn region.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it'll make more sense when you watch it, but still.
I would like it just because of Dukin.
Yeah.
Having Dukin would be very happy, and that makes me happy because he's great.
And yeah, so off track again. But then I guess that was sort of to be expected.
So this is the off track episode.
Goku Black vs Reverse Flash. I think the precedent set. The Reverse Flash is most likely to win. I think in the animation, the most important thing is conveying Eobard's speed and Goku Black's overwhelming destructive power. Because you really want with this matchup, you want that juxtaposition to be shown very well. Like Eobard's not destroying many things, but Goku Black isn't going as fast as him. And
I think they need to sell that. Like that's kind of my problem with the. There's this Goku Black versus Reverse Flash sprite fight.
Is it Rewind Rumble?
Yeah, the Rewind Rumble one.
Oh, it could be much worse. Have you seen where one was Goku versus Flash?
No.
So, their argument is Flash is too weak to ever hurt Goku with a punch, but he's too fast for Goku to hit, so he's gonna have to throw him into the Speed Force. Problem: in the animation, Goku blitzes Flash and lands a ton of hits, and then Flash one-shots Goku.
That's not a good example of
That's
research.
the opposite. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
They bring up the Wally West like transcending the concept of speed feat, like he passes through, like he runs fast and instantaneous teleportation. But then at the end they go, if you want to see this battle with Wally West Flash instead, and it's like you literally used Wally West's feet. How is this not Wally?
Like, I'm fine with scaling feats, but you shouldn't really use. I'm fine with scaling feats and explain why they scale, but you shouldn't really use the main feats from other flashes. Like if you're having an episode on Barry Allen, you really shouldn't make your main procs be a Wally West feat.
Yeah, he didn't
Honestly,
scale.
It would be
didn't scale. He said the Flash did this once and didn't even bring up that it was a different one.
Yeah, it's like same with Eobard. I wouldn't want them to use a Barry Allen feat that wasn't explicitly scaling to Eobard as the main feat for that.
I'm pretty sure Eobard's got like his own plenty of really impressive speed feats without scaling, but
he does.
Obviously, scaling is going to be like a big part of it.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if we'd get a lot of scaling during the episode, especially on the Goku Black end, considering a lot of.
Goku Black
doesn't really have that.
Yeah.
Like Goku Black doesn't have that many great feats of like pure destructive capability, but he just scales to a lot of strong characters like Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, as well as Super Saiyan Blue Goku.
I think
so.
One thing they could do in the fight that I don't think I would want for once is an army battle. You could have it, but I don't really want it. I feel like I would want the clones to appear, but not like a huge Modown showdown like the Hellbat versus House Party Protocol or the Star Steven.
Which was really good.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best scenes of that. But I don't think I'd want that, because like I feel like when you work on a limited budget, do what's necessary for the start, and then use the rest of the budget to do the other things that would just be cool. The army fight would cost too much budget to be in the category of do it just because it's cool, but I don't think it would be worth doing like as necessity. Like I think that's one of the lesser things. A question
I wouldn't mind like the
I
wouldn't mind like the clones showing up as like a combo. Like Reverse Flash does a combo and then uses his clones to assist him. That would make sense.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot more sense with Reverse Flash to like have past selves show up, but I don't think that's necessary. Well, I think it'd be cool, but I don't think like a big battle between like a million Goku Blacks and Reverse Flashes is needed. At the same time, I would not want Merge Zamasu to be in the fight, just personally.
No, I think we might include it or we might mention it in the blog, but I think we're gonna explicitly say I don't think Merge Zamasu is happening.
It's like the first problem I have. The core theme of the fight is evil doppelgangers, right? Evil alternate versions. Zamasu is not that. He is the exact same as the regular Zamasu. Because he is, basically, Zamasu.
Yeah, except except he's slightly stronger and he has a crippling weakness.
And Merge Zamasu just isn't as interesting a character.
Yeah.
And I guess the other
He's
problem
not a
is,
bad character. He's just, you know, I feel like it kind of ran out of steam near the end, and there's even the ending of the Goku Black
oh,
arc, which frankly
we don't
sucks.
go to the ending. But the thing with Eobard and Goku Black, right, is you could have the ending be slower, like take a different turn. Now that Goku Black's weakened, Eobard's gonna take his sweet time, slowly killing Goku Black in a painful way. Like say that he does the whole hand through the body thing, like from the CW, and he just does it slowly. He taunts Goku Black the whole way through, as he can't do anything to stop it. But with Infinite Zamasu, which is inevitable with Merge Zamasu, the only thing you're gonna have to finish it is Eobard just throws the universe into the Speed Force and gobbles it up.
Yeah.
Like, that would be funny.
But there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, it'd just be funny. It wouldn't be... It would be unique, I guess, because it would be like the Omega Sanction, but on a bigger scale. But I guess we haven't gotten a Speed Force BFR death yet. I mean, Quicksilver did go into it, but he didn't die in it.
Yeah, which honestly they probably should have. That fight's ending is kind of weak anyway. Like,
oh, I love everything in the Speed Force until the final blow, and then Quicksilver just goes, hits a sword.
Yeah. I do wonder how big they're going to make the scale of the fight. Like, will we get to outright universal levels of destruction in terms of the fight animation?
I think
I
think planets are going to go. Like, planets are going to go in the fight. I don't know about universes, because Eobard's not really associated with destruction as much as like on a grand scale. He's just on a personal scale.
Mind you, RG Sonic versus Wally West didn't really have that much destruction. Destruction.
Which is weird because like of all three Flash matches, that's the one where both characters are often associated with that kind of overwhelming power, just on a reality warping level, less than a destruction one.
I guess they wanted to focus more on the sheer speed than destruction, but it was kind of weird actually why we didn't get a lot. I mean, I love Archie Sonic versus Wally West, but it is kind of a weird point that it really didn't show off how powerful that. I don't think they showed off how powerful either of them are.
No,
to like a massive extent.
I mean, you could argue the same for Batman versus Iron Man if we're being perfectly honest. They made a huge deal of the Hellbat can take on a Universe Buster. The God Buster is stronger than a universe and destroyed one. The Mark 68 is made of a universe. And then the Godbuster gets taken out in a shot that doesn't even destroy buildings, and the Mark 68 and the Hellbat both get rendered inactive from the Dyson Sphere, which destroys part of a city in the animation, but they also make a big deal of being planetary, and it doesn't destroy the planet. It's just weird.
Oh, to be fair, it is kind of in character for both not to be extremely destructive.
Yeah, it's just weird that they put so much emphasis on the power, but then they don't show any of it. Like, the most destructive we get is destroying chunks of a city, which is already really out of character for both of them. Well, at least for Batman, who is the one who brings the fight there and does the first big hit. But also he drops the Watchtower, which I'm pretty sure killed a lot of people.
I mean, in certain continuities, it's mostly just manned by the Justice League.
Well, yeah, I mean...
There's other continuities, it's like multiple people.
At the same time, if nobody was in it, it still is going to hit the ground. Like, if it hits an ocean, then okay, lucky that it didn't kill anyone, unless there's a boat nearby. But if it lands anywhere on, like, the ground, unless it, like, drops in the Sahara Desert or something, or the Grand Canyon, you're going to kill a lot of people.
Tons of people. Kind of feel... Like, don't get me wrong, that was a great shot. A really good sense of scale with it, but logically that doesn't really make much sense.
It's actually my least favorite. It's my least favorite part of the fight because it just doesn't make it breaks my immersion, like more than any scene in a death battle I think so far.
Yeah,
that's one of the only times I've just in my first viewing went, what? Hold on. Which I mean, by the time this video comes out, Biffweed's reviews probably also drop, which I'm in the highlight reel of. And I think they kept in my initial response of, what the hell? Why did you do that? You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's like the most emotional I've gotten in one of those.
I do kind of wonder why. I kind of have a hunch on what your and Biff Weed's overall score will be, and my guess is both a 7 out of 10.
I think we both got the same score between me and him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd give the episode a 7 out of 10 personally. I know
that's fair.
people say that's a bit harsh.
I think it's
7 out of
fair.
10 is where.
I think like
Yeah, I think
I have a big problem with like Batman's characterization, but that's gonna be like addressed in the video. And of course, like a lot of like the stuff Batman did, like the stuff he says, is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just some elements I'm not a fan of. Hopefully, I won't have any of the problems with Goku Black vs. Flash though, because like
Yeah.
I care a lot.
I
about
feel
the
like it's very
characters here.
easy. Yeah, I feel like it's very easy to portray these characters right. Unlike a character like Batman, who has so much, characterization to him, it's kind of
Yeah.
difficult to really.
So nuanced.
Especially when you're. Yeah, he's very nuanced. Reverse Flash is like the literal opposite of nuanced. Like he's not a actor with like billions of depth to him. He's
Like,
just an evil asshole.
Batman's a
Just
great
loves being an
character
evil
because
asshole.
he's got so much depth. Earbud's a great character because he's just one thing, but he's really good at being
Really
that
good
one thing.
at.
Goku Black
Yeah.
is.
And even
I don't know if I'd
Goku
call him a
Black is fun.
good character, but he's a good villain for Dragon Ball. For Dragon Ball, he's a good villain, and he's the best one in Super, obviously. And I think you could do a lot with the fight. I want them to skip Super Saiyan 1 and 2 because
No, I don't think they could do that.
I
Think
don't
we'll go straight to Rose.
Yeah, I think they should just go to Rose because that's the big thing that's what Goku Black's known for. Above all else is the color pink because of Rose and its key. And
Rose looks really cool.
yeah,
I think Rose.
It's a dumb formula that's never explained, but
yeah, well, I think you can make an explanation in that it's Super Saiyan mixed with God Ki, but that kind of contradicts later.
I mean that's already what Super Saiyan
and
Blue is.
Vegeta. I guess you can make an argument. Maybe it's Samasu's ki.
Yeah, it's never like properly
just-
explained, and I mean it's not as bad as like Berserker Trunks, which is just
God.
Goku fucking Trunks went from barely being able to take on base Goku Black to now taking on corrupted Zamasu in a fight and winning.
Yeah.
Sure thing. The guy that was taking on Vegito.
They'll probably mention that eventually when we get the inevitable Trunks versus Silver episode.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah,
I've had my mixed feelings on that episode, but I do think it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. So I think we're around the time where we'd wrap this up. It has been like nearly 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. 2 hours.
Not all of it. Not all of it was talking about the matchup, but I'm hoping people will just enjoy, just like rambling on. I have brought it back a few times to the matchup, but basically, for the conclusion to this, precedent is that Earbud's probably going to win. I do think he's going to win the episode as well. I mean, this is either going to be...
I'm pretty sure he's going to win the episode.
This is going to be the end of a streak either way. It's either going to be the end of DC's winning against non-Marvel streak, or it's going to be the end of what some people seem to not realize exists, the Dragon Ball win streak, which has been going on since Season 2.
Yes. Yeah, like, people still complain. People have complained on and on about how Death Ball treats Dragon Ball like shit. I'm like, you do realize that they've literally won every fight except Season 2. Since Season 2.
And
Season 2...
Basically, Vegeta beat Shadow, Superman beat Goku, Superman beat Goku, Kirby beat Boo, but then Hercule beat Dan, 18 beat Captain Marvel, Roshi beat Jiraiya, Beerus beat Galaxia, and Broly beat Hulk.
Like, Dragon Ball fans like overreact when it comes to that. Like, it's just like, mind you, being honest, the fact that Season 2 was like over 5-6 years ago makes me feel kind of old. I'm 24. And I literally been a Death Ball fan, been on the Death Ball community for 6 years now. The G1 blog started literally in the middle of Season 3, and that's 5 years.
Mate, I've been watching the show since Boba vs. Samus first dropped.
Yeah.
Oh god.
God, I think my first one was Yoshi versus Ripto.
I think the first
I
one
wasn't really part of
the one that like got me into like consistently watching is somehow Starsky versus Rainbow Dash, even though it's like an episode I really dislike, but I did catch the first 3 episodes when they came out, dropped off. I guess Rogue versus Wonder Woman does that to you, but then I watched Starsky Rainbow Dash, went back and I rewatched them all and was like, oh, this is good. And like as Death Battle evolved, my versus debating like knowledge and skills and calculation knowledge and like knowledge of just different series has sort of also evolved.
Yeah.
And you know, it's sort of nice to have seen Death Battle like has been evolving with me, like, or I guess I've been evolving with it in a sense. And, like that's just cool. It is weird though, being the equivalent, like the Death Battle equivalent of a boomer.
Yeah, I think we were both Death Battle boomers, considering how long we've been in.
We're both Death Battle boomers. Yes, we're quite old. I don't know why I've become Sean Connery.
Season 2 was when I really got into the community.
Yeah, it took me a while.
Back in the old.
Took me a while to really
on
get
the
into
old days of the Screw Attack forums.
It was like the end of season 2 where I made my first video on Death Battle, and it's terrible and you shouldn't watch it. But it was like from then into season 3 that I started like producing more videos, like parodying Death Battles, and then kept going. And then it was around like season 7 where I started actually talking with most of the community as opposed to just making my little shit posts and making my not Death Battle stuff. And I started actually talking with the community a bit more.
Yeah.
Around season 7, which is good because that season is kind of boring and the community helped me get through a lot of that. Until Hulk vs. Broly. A lot of you guys can still shut the fuck up about Hulk vs. Broly. But then
I mean, I have mixed feelings on that, but that's another thing.
No, it's not the episode itself.
Oh god, the debate. Oh.
It's not even that. It's like it's what happened on the day it was announced. Like it was the Death Battle's big 10th anniversary. And everyone was just, hey, Nemesis, are you pissed off about this? Are you pissed off on Death Battle's 10th anniversary? Are you unhappy? Oh, please tell me you're unhappy. It's like, mate.
Oh, man.
Mate.
Like,
guys.
Yeah. It's sad we're probably not getting Samus versus Master Chief this season, but, like...
Honestly, like,
that's the one matchup I'm like... I mean, unless Galactus vs. Unicorn isn't the season finale and it's Samus vs. Chief, which might disappoint a lot of people. At the same time, I'm like...
Even I would be a little disappointed. I think the thing is that because Torian seems to have not, like, left on the best terms with Rooster Teeth, I almost feel like I'm okay with it because I would only really want if Torian was animating it, right? If they did it without Torian, it would almost feel insulting to what's arguably their most famous animator they've ever had. And a guy who went through so much shit with them, like for them in seasons 2 and 3. Like I remember back in those days, and people were like genuinely concerned for Torian's health. Like, is he actually going to be okay? And like I remember a lot of people in season 3 at least were also bringing up Monty and like making comparisons. And it was generally concerning. Like Torian's health was like a genuine concern. And after all he went through, if they were to do Samus versus Chief without him, that would be insulting.
I would feel a bit sad. I mean, Torian is a workaholic. He's freely admitted that. Same with Monty, but
it wouldn't feel right.
There's kind of like an extent where you probably should just have a rest. Like, despite me loving him, Cyber can be a bit of a workaholic in terms of research.
I have gone from constantly like making little jokey jabs to Cyber to 90% of my conversations with him being, "Take care of yourself, you fucking moron, you fucking idiot." Stop it.
Like Modern versus Aizen, like I think really, like I'm like during that 2-week period, I'm gonna try and make sure that Cyber just doesn't spend every working moment of his life working on Modern versus Aizen.
90% is gonna be go to sleep, mate. What time is it for you? And he's gonna say, Nemesis, it's 4 a.m. for you, and I'm gonna go, yeah, but go to sleep too.
Yeah, like Cyber literally I think he went through Bleach in like a day.
God damn it, man.
Cyber's great, but I worry about him when Modern vs. Aizen gets 100% announced, and he spends every moment working on that blog.
I am hoping that once it's over, though, he will take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a pause.
I think I think Cyber deserves it.
Yeah. Cyber, if you're watching, take care of yourself, mate.
Take care of yourself. Don't overdo it when Madara vs. Aizen happens.
Yes.
Though he's probably going to end up being on the prediction video for that.
Oh, he definitely... I'm going to go to him for the prediction. Like, I feel like it'd be wrong of me not to have Cyber.
Yes.
Maybe Phantom.
Yeah.
But mostly Cyber.
Yeah.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the Madara Aizen guy.
Yeah. So I think like, after this season, I don't think Samus versus Chief would have a place. I feel like it only really has a place in this season, like due to the theme of it. After that, I mean, I guess there's Chief versus Doom Guy too, but I don't really like vibe too well with that because Doom Guy he's changed so much.
Like, yeah, he's like a completely different character.
It's weird.
I guess you can make an argument is good for the rematch.
Because like the thing is, right, like playing through Doom and Doom Eternal, I guess he didn't change as much as I thought he would. But the main thing is that he's been deified in universe. So like, that's why I think like the most fitting for Doom Guy the Doom Slayer in my eyes is Rupert Guilliman from Warhammer 40k or possibly Khan the Betrayer from Warhammer 40k. Like another character who is a super soldier who is deified in universe.
Yes.
And like, it has that same gritty, violent vibe.
I mean, I think Doom Guy didn't get too much of a glow up in 2016.
No, it was Eternal. It was Eternal.
Yeah, it was Eternal. Eternal just amped things to like the nth degree.
Yeah. And like I love Chief. I love Chief a lot, but I don't really have a matchup that I like for him independent of the history of Samus. Like I guess there's Marcus Phoenix, but
that's just boring.
Yeah, I was there for the Gears of War rivalry, but I never played Gears of War, so I don't really have any like solid stance on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the prediction. Finale has to be Galactus versus Unicron because if it's not,
yes,
I'm probably gonna.
People will just complain.
I'm gonna find a way to lose interest in Galactus versus Unicron, and that would be a sad day.
Yeah, my prediction for the remaining of this season is got Kool-Aid Man versus Randy Savage, probably Dio versus Alcott next because that's the October episode. I'm guessing Korra Ray next, and then Kuma Shao Kahn, then Madara Aizen, and then finally Galactus versus Unicron.
Yeah,
that's actually not a bad season list. I feel like this season generally has been rather solid when it comes to the actual matchups themselves, even more than season like. So much so more than season 7 was. Like I feel like this season had the perfect balance between comic matchups, anime matchups, in general, non-comic or anime matchups as well.
Like it has a good variety.
I think this is probably one of the most solid seasons in terms of the matchup choices.
Yeah, though being better than season 7 is not really saying much.
It's not a high bar. Yeah. I really hope if they go back to the 20 episodes, they don't, keep it variety.
They don't relapse.
I'm not. I know, like the research team have made arguments as why they did 20 episodes, but I still don't think it helped them that much.
Nah, it
maybe that's just me.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how season 9 goes.
We'll see.
Gotta get through season 8. Goes. Currently, season 8 pretty good. Hoping it continues with its consistent quality. Overall, I think that's one of the biggest strengths of season 8 is consistently all the episodes are pretty good, except for Blake vs. Mikasa. But
I like that matchup, but I do. I think the season has probably been one of the most consistent because let's be honest, rewatching a lot of Death Battle seasons, they haven't been the most consistent.
It's been season 6 is the only other like really consistently good one.
Yeah, season 6, I agree.
Like I love season 2. It's still my favorite season, but it's not the most consistent when like a quarter of the episodes kind of blow.
Yeah. Season 3 is season 3.
Yeah. Season 1, I mean season 1's very consistent, but in the sense that it's consistently not great, but quite charming and has a lot of qualities that the other seasons don't really have. And couldn't really have.
It's aged kind of poorly.
Yeah.
Season 4, I should rewatch season 4 because I haven't done that in a while.
Season 4 and 5 are the two seasons I have the least opinion on because like I barely remember season 4 and 5. But yeah, so that was the prediction. I hope you guys all enjoyed. You can say goodbye.
Yep. Thank you for having me, Nemesis, and I things turn out for the next blog, which is probably the next prediction video, which is probably going to be Kool-Aid Man versus Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
Well, I've already got someone who's asked for it, and he is a fellow WWE fan, and in that regard, we're mostly going to be just taking the piss and talking about WWE stuff, because, like, when it comes to, like,
Yeah.
predicting for what's essentially a joke episode,
Yeah.
not really much to talk about, but, yep,
Um,
hope you guys enjoyed, and
Probably
I'll have a good one.
have a good one. Bye.